Good morning, and welcome to the ACLU of Eastern Missouri. We've invited you here today for two reasons. One, for this press conference this morning, where we're going to be making some statements. Jamal Roberts, the Bureau of Commerce, and myself, Reggie Hudson, the Racial Justice Manager here at the ACLU, regarding the death penalty, Reggie Clemens' case in particular, in light of the fact that the U.S. Supreme Court has just recently upheld lethal injection. The other thing is this evening there will be a reception here at the ACLU for people who worked on Reggie Clemens' campaign all these years. This evening we'll have a reception for them, people who collected signatures. I think there are upwards of 10,000 signatures, over 10,000 signatures collected on behalf of Reggie. That is an important milestone. I think it speaks to people's understanding of the facts of this case, the urgency of the case relative to Reggie's innocence, actual innocence, and the need for us to take a look at something beyond just the lethal injection protocol for the death penalty in the United States. There are much more pressing issues related to putting people to death in this country, i.e. the 128 exonerations of people who have been sentenced to die and be released because
it's probably a prevailing factor in the system. So in the last year, year and a half, 2 years, in some cases where there has been court-imposed moratoriums, these are some of the things that have happened that show that the death penalty's popularity is weakening.
Your full name?
Oh, Andrew D'Angelo.
And the reason you're here today?
3-4.
I have been involved with the Chain of Rocks case as far as the defense is concerned since April of '91. I was Marlon Gray's primary investigator.
Okay.
As of the first day he was arrested. I was there the day he was executed, and I've been involved in this thing pretty much ever since, since April of '91.
I think the handwriting is on the wall, just like the sun and the moon and the stars are in the sky. This state says that it doesn't make mistakes. It's a fool that makes a statement like that. There's nothing perfect with mankind, never has been ever on planet Earth.
They don't know the facts. They don't know, because I think that if people really understood what happened in this case, they would be outraged. They would be absolutely outraged.
Of course, everything they put out was very negative. We never got to really hear the other. No one got to hear the other side. I think what happened a lot in St. Louis, overall, outside of the news media, and I think the case been very confusing, very contradictory, and particularly by them only projecting one side. There, people just didn't know where to look at, where to start at looking, which is why I say at this point, this is the only time we've got to really have documentation that people can actually see.
My attorney did not do the best she could do because she thought that she had a slam dunk case. She thought it was very easy. I'm not charged with murdering anybody. I'm charged with aiding or encouraging. Now, to aid in a murder, you have to be present. The state said I was not. In order to be convicted of encouraging murder, someone has to take
I think America's replete with it, and especially this time.
It was disbelief because what Tom Cummins was saying happened just didn't make sense. And everyone was perplexed. I think that's white media. I think that's all the media were. Like, it didn't make any sense.
We lost in the legal arena, so we're now going public with what happened.
The first places the Coast Guard looked was the water intake pumps. Because they basically said there's no way those bodies should have even made it to those rocks. They would have been hung up.
More strange fruit is hung from the trees of America than any other country in the world. This is a sad indictment against this country that a book had to be written a few years back about the last 5,000 lynchings in America. Lynchings. That's where the white man became judge, hangman, and jury, based on somebody's whim.
Confessed to the crime 26 years ago. Attorneys knew that. Yet this man sat on death row. Could have been executed. And that's the kind of system that we have here in America that really doesn't represent a legal justice system, but in fact,
It's whatever color that the powers that be may want it to be. What I mean by that is, if it suits their purpose, of whatever political purpose, monetary purpose, or such, I think the color of justice is whatever color it may serve. Generally it's black. I hate to say it, or African American, I apologize. Because a lot of times prosecutors in this country, they don't care that it's a black man going to jail. They just care that, ooh, I won this case and look what a great prosecutor I am. This will be great when I run for election next year. Or this will be great when I go into private practice.
On the subject of national relevance, I think about prosecuting attorneys across the board in the United States, with the exception, I think, of 2 cities or 2 areas in the whole of the United States of America. They sit like gods because they can deal the hand without impunity. They can lie, they can cheat, they can steal, they can cajole, and they seem to be the only people in America that are godlike. There's no repercussion for the falsities that they present, or the lies that they tell, or the cover-ups that they make. And I think if they were held to the same standard of other adjudicators, other lawmakers, as anybody else, if you wrongly prosecute, if you lie, you cheat, you steal just to get a conviction for conviction's sake, then you have to pay a penalty as well. And I think we have to get justice. We can not have justice and liberty for all unless everybody associated with the justice system, his feet have been held to the same fire as everybody else.
You make an excellent point, and unfortunately, at the time that this case was prosecuted, Bill Moss was the poster boy for that kind of conduct.
Yes.
At this time, he was in the top 10. You know how many prosecuting attorneys there are in the United States? Well, Bill Moss was in the top 10 of them for prosecuting attorneys cited for misconduct.
After having been interrogated and appeared in court, from the time that we sat through the trials and realized that we had an incompetent attorney, couldn't do anything about it because all the money we paid, our fines were depleted, realizing that we was on this roller coaster ride of no return, and also realizing that we had a prosecutor that had a history of prosecutorial misconduct. So you're almost on the roll of these feet from that point on.